Hi everybody, just doing a quick look at a Japanese Arisaka Type 99 that I recently acquired at an auction. As of this date, I think I got a pretty good deal on it. The auction was running really slow, so I put a bid in and won $280 for a real nice example of an Arisaka Type 99. Came complete with bayonet, sling, the bayonet frog, a small luck flag, Japanese luck flag. The gun is complete. Also came with a muzzle cap, muzzle protector. The serial numbers all match except for the dust cover. All the bolt serial numbers match, firing pin, receiver, bolt, and the safety knob. The stock is a little bit dinged up, but otherwise the gun is in fantastic condition, and I think these are great guns to get into collecting. The only down part to them is the ammunition, that 7.7 by 58 or 7.7 Japanese, as it's known as. It's quite expensive, sometimes costing $40 for 20 rounds. $2 a round. I was lucky and found some on Midway USA on a Black Friday clearance sale for about 25% off. So, and I will be reloading for this. So if you reload, this is actually a good collector's firearm to have if you're going to shoot it, particularly because its quality is very high, especially these early ones. This one happens to be about 1941 probably. You can only kind of guess at the production date as the series. This is a series 31 for the Toyo Kogyo arsenal, which is the second series produced from that plant. They began in 1939, so this is about a 1941 example. It's an early example, so it's all very good condition from the day it was built. In other words, it was manufactured to higher standards than, of course, the last stitch guns would have been around 1945. And of course, that arsenal later, it was still existing after the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, which is where that plant is. It's located outside the city over a hill, and so it was protected from the blast, but it also, the factory workers were killed in it, but the factory itself survived and went on to become the Mazda assembly plant. So what excited me about it at the auction actually was the completeness of the gun, and for that price. These bayonets are running anywhere from $100 up to $300 now, depending on the rarity of them, condition of them. This one has 90% of its blue. I'll go ahead and grab the bayonet and we'll look at it real quick first. And it's an uncommon bayonet also, as it's an early production bayonet, as you can tell by the nicely finished, nicely rounded, all original finish. The bird's head grip. Probably 90% of the blue remains on the blade. Camera to help us out here, and we'll get a close-up of the arsenal markings on it. Here we go. Now you can see how that cross guard is milled down there slightly. Now because of that being milled down like that, that means, from what I understand, I might be incorrect, but that it was actually reformed to this state at the arsenal during a modification of the arsenal itself that it was built at. That makes this an uncommon bayonet, so I'm hoping its value is a little bit higher than the $100 value. I have others of these that are in almost as nice condition as this, but with the hooked quillion on it. Of course, the scabbard, or the frog rather, is aftermarket. The scabbard has a couple of dents in it. I have some other scabbards that are virtually perfect, but shouldn't hurt the value too much on this one. So I feel like that was part of the good buy on this firearm at that price particularly. Now the reason I think these are a good deal, in spite of having to reload for them, is, and I think they're often overlooked as a shooter type gun. Partly because of that expensive ammunition, partly because of the stigma that still sticks around these rifles being fired at American soldiers and the invasion of America on Pearl Harbor, of course. But it's a Mauser-derived action. It's one of the very first, if not the first, rifle with a chrome bore. So the bore is immaculate on this rifle, even though it does have some use on it. And it is complete with the anti-aircraft sights, the dust cover, the monopod, cleaning rod, all there. And all, as I said, all numbers matching except the dust cover. It was probably a replacement at some time, but at least it is complete. The mom was ground. I'll bring it forwards and take a little closer look. It's typical with many of these. Some people might think that hurts the value of it somewhat. Personally, I think it's part of the history of the gun. Doesn't bother me too much that it's ground off. And there's the series number followed by the serial number and then the arsenal. And then there's an inspection, very tiny inspection stamp, which also exists, I believe, on the stock on the bottom of it. You can see there, looks like a dent or a stamp, and I believe that's the same stamp that's on the barrel. Filled in by varnish, and I'm not going to clean it out because it is original varnish. Steel butt plate, so if you bought one of these, it was a last ditch rifle, I might be a little more leery of firing it. But this one, built 1941, is early production. There's the nicely milled safety lever and the nicely done bolt knob. Cock on close. Mauser style bolt in action. There's the release. Cock on close. Not as smooth as an Enfield, but very serviceable still. Nice two-stage trigger. Of course, there's the infamous anti-aircraft sights. Somewhat of a silly notion that you could shoot down an airplane moving 500 miles an hour at altitude, if I can get it to release, there we go, by leading with your sights. I suppose with volley fire you might have a chance of hitting something, but as with the monopod, very flimsy, lightweight, often not found on the rifles. Cleaning rod is also present, released by pressing this button here, which releases it. Here's a view of that bore if it'll focus up. Well, the end of the barrel anyway. See that chrome lining there? And we'll take a look up and down the other side. As I said, the stock seems to be pretty dinged up, but it's very, no cracks whatsoever. Another nice gouge there. There's the splice. Typically all these Arisakas have that splice. It's not a crack. To conserve materials, they were dovetailed, put together. You can see this one has no gaps, no wiggle. Extremely good condition. That innovative long tang made this action one of the strongest available at the time. Even by today's standards, quite a strong action. So anyway, there's my auction find. And hopefully, once this 12-degree weather we're having here lets up and I get some more reloading done, we'll get some of these guns out and shoot them. So anyway, thanks a lot.